Okay, if you say so. Everybody, let's go on my number one for me. I cannot use my back off. Everybody on number one for me. Everybody, let's go on my number one. Everybody, have you got to my number one, bestie? Have you got to my number one? Please activate on the team if you're not a member of the Goldie Stars team, okay? Activate on the team, everybody, please. Overtaking is allowed. Make yourself active, make yourself visible. On my number one, you're there. On two, you're there. On three, who is that? Welcome to the team, bestie. Welcome to the team, everybody. Let's go. We didn't do the yeah music now. Fully welcome in. Everybody on my number one for me. Get my number one, besties. Let's go. On the list of my number one, everybody. On the list of my number one. Get my number one, get number two, bestie. Everybody quickly, let's go. Get my number one, get number two for me. Get my number one. Who's on number one? Yeah, Nasty Billy. I need 20 amazing people on number one. Let's go. 20 amazing people on my number one. Everybody now on my number one for me, please. On the list of my number one besties, let's go. On the list of my number one, everybody, let's go. Please make sure you're bagging and tagging every amazing person you see on the screen, okay? Bag and tag every amazing person you see on the screen. Go and tell a friend to tell a friend that Goldie Tar is what? Goldie Tar is life. Like this. Bobby Dollar. Welcome back in, mama. Bless you. Bless your heart. Everybody, let's go. I forgot to my number one, honey. My number one is on point one. My number two. Bobby Dolls on number two. Let's go. Bobby Dolls on number two. Everybody, ooh, Bobby Dolls, congratulations on point four. On my number two, go to my number two for me. On the list of my number two, everybody, let's go. Go to my number two, please. On the list of Jerry Bona, welcome to the team. On my number two, everybody, go to my number two. On my number two, everybody, go to my number two for me. Have you got to my number two? Guys, I'm trying to get this music. Okay, no wonder it went off. Because the network disconnected. On my number two, everybody, go to my number two. On my number two, everybody, go to my number two for me. It's me, you, and on my number two, everybody, are you on number two for me? Energy on my number two, let's go. Energy on my number two, quickly. Get my number two, everybody. Go. Make sure you get to my number one, okay? Make sure you get to my number one. Then you go to number two. Trans, bless you. Please make sure you're back. Jamila Williams. Welcome in, mama. Everybody, let's go, please. Make yourself active, make yourself visible. My number one, you're there. My number two, you're there, bestie. Let's go. Everybody, let's go, please. On my number two, please. Get my number two for me. Everybody on number two. The longer you stay, the more you gain. Go and tell a friend to tell a friend that Goldie Tar is life. Everybody, let's go. Tina Kingdom, come. Fully, are we fighting fully? Because I don't understand the way you're moving. I do not understand the way you're moving. We know you know. I know that you know. That's not the way you move. Everybody, let's go. On my number two for me, everybody, go to my number two. Queen Bobby Dolls is on number two. And if 50 amazing people on number two for me, quickly. 50 amazing people on number two, let's go. Escobar. Escobar, welcome in. Everybody like this. The live stream just started, please. Make sure you like this for me, everybody. Like this, everybody like this. Like this for me, everybody. Like this, everybody, let's go. Like this for me, besties. Let's go. On my number 2, make sure you get to number 1, okay? My number 1, you get my number 2. Let's go. Get my number 1, get number 2, bestie. Let's go. If you're just joining, you're welcome in. Happy New Year, everybody. On my number 2, get my number 2 for me, everybody. Let's go. Don't cast. On my number 2, besties, go get my number 2 for me. Go and get my number 2, bestie. Let's go. Nasty Bailey, I see you. On the list of my number 2, everybody get my number 2 for me. Let's go. My number 2 you get when you're done. Go to number 3, besties. On my number 3 for me. That Pinky Love Mama on number 3. That Pinky Love on number 3. Everybody on my number 2, let's go. Go to my number 2. If you got to my number 2, I need you to get my number 2, bestie, please. I need you to get my number 2. I need 100 amazing people on number 2. Let's go. Bag in time. If you're a gifter in the house, overtaking is allowed. Make yourself super active. Make yourself visible. Let us elevate your page, okay? Let us elevate your page for you, honey. Let's go. My number 2, welcome back in, everybody. Welcome back in, everybody. Let's go. My number 2 for me, go to my number 2, please. Foley said, baby, the biggie baller sign town down. Everybody, let's go. On my number 2 for me, bestie, let's go. Ababala, how much is money? Balling, premium or nothing. Now you know. Foley is now my number 3. Everybody, let's go. On my number 3 for me, everybody. Go to my number 3, please. Go to my number 3. My number 1, you get my number 2, get my number 3. Let's go. Barbie doll. Barbie doll is now number 1. Everybody, let's go. Luxury or nothing. On my number 1, everybody, go to my number 1 for me. On the list of my number 1, everybody, go to my number 1. Let's go. Ababal. How much is money? Balling. Premium or nothing. On my number 1, besties, go to my number 1 for me. I just came on in. I can't play any much. Okay, I'm sorry. Everybody, let's go. On my number 1, besties, go and get my number 1 for me, please. On the list of my number 1, Foley. On my number 1, everybody, go to the team. If you're not a member of the Golden Stars team, please don't forget to activate on the team, okay? Activate on the team for me, everybody. Let's go. My number 1 down to 99, going back and tag. Oh, my number 1 down to 61, besties. Let's go. My number 1, Bukola, welcome in. My number 1 down to 61, go on back and tag on them for me. Let's go, everybody. Everybody, let's go, please. Barbie dolls. Ooh, Nasty Billy to keep number 1 back. Nasty Billy took number 1 back. Everybody on my number 4. Okay, on number 3 now. Go to my number 3. Foley on number 3, everybody. Foley on number 3, let's go. Please make sure you're doing this for me, everybody. Do like this. Do like this for me. Everybody like this, please. Like this. Send an invite to more than 5 centimeters. Foley is now on number 2. Everybody on my number 2, let's go. Go to number 2. Foley is now number 1. On my number 1, besties, go to my number 1. Foley said, honey, I want to stay on number 1. I want to stay. Where is your life goal, honey? Let me get it for you. Everybody on my number 1, let's go. Go to my number 1 for me. On the list of my number 1, besties, go to my number 1. On the list of my number one, please. Get my number one for me, everybody. On my number one, everybody, go to my number one, please. The longer you stay, the more you gain. If you're not a member of the Golden Stars team, please activate on the team, okay? Nasty Billy. Nasty Billy said, honey, have you read my name? I'm nasty. I am too nasty. I am not nice at all. And that's what you just took from me. I need it. Everybody, let's go. On my number one, Fole is on number one, let's go. On my number one bestie, everybody, let's go. On my number one. Fole on number one, everybody, go to my number one for me. Yeah. Fole. Everybody, let's go. Please bag and tag on number one. Have you bagged and tagged number one? Have you bagged my number one and tagged? Everybody, let's go. On my number one besties, go to my number one for me, please. On the list of my number one, everybody. And 18. On my number one, everybody, go to my number one, please. The longer you stay, the more you gain. Make yourself active, make yourself visible. If you're in the house, you're less than 100, you're less than 200, less than 5K, less than 10K. You're in the right place, honey. All you have to do is make yourself active, make yourself visible. Let us elevate on you. But if you're not, honey, if you're not, please make sure you're double tapping, you're sharing, and you're doing top 20 on gift stars list. Everybody on my number one, let's go. Make sure you're bagging and tagging, you're connecting with gift stars, amazing gift stars on the screen. Everybody on my number one, let's go. On my number one for me. On my number one besties, go to my number one for me. On my number one, everybody, go to my number one, please. On the list of my number one besties, go and get my number one for me. If you're just joining, you're welcome back in. Welcome back in, everybody. Welcome back in, everybody. My number one is top priority. Get my number one, everybody. Charmaine, welcome back in, my love. Everybody on my number one, get my number one for me. On my number one, everybody, go to my number one. Make sure you get to my number one. You get number two. Ooh, who's on number two? Who nasty steps are? Baby Dose is not on number two. Everybody, let's go. Have you got to my number one, though? Have you got to my number one? The icon. Welcome in, Charmaine. Charmaine, bless you. Everybody, let's go. My number one, you get my number two, get number three. Bestie, let's go. Welcome to the team, my love. Everybody, let's go. My number one, you get my number two. Get my number one, you get number two, bestie. Let's go. Are you don't get to my number one? I need my number one on point three like yesterday, okay? I need my number one on point three like yesterday. Everybody, let's go. My number one on point three, everybody. I need my number one on point three. Let's go. Do I look like I give a fuck? Do I look like I give a fuck? Do I look like I give a fuck? I don't give a shot, so I got close. Do I look like I give a fuck? Do I look like I give a fuck? Do I look like I give a fuck? I don't give a shot, so I got close. Do I look like I give a fuck? Everybody, let's go. If you're just joining, you're welcome back in, okay? Welcome back in. Make yourself active, make yourself visible. On my number one, you're there. On number two, you're there. Get my number three quickly, everybody. My number one, that's number three. Go on back and tap quickly, everybody. Let's go. Get my number one, get number two, get number three quickly. My number one should be on point three by now. Everybody, if you're getting my number one, it will be on point three. Let's go. Go and get my number one, besties. Everybody, get my number one, get number two. Let's go. Besties on one, everybody. Besties on one. When you're done, you come to the chat. You comment one done in chat. Let's go. Romley Angel. I know. Everybody, let's go. On my number one for me, everybody, go to my number one. Have you got to my number one? Have you got to my number one, honey? Then go to my number two. Okay, go to my number two, everybody. Go to my number two. And if 50 amazing people on number two, 100 amazing people on number one, let's go. Bag and tag, everybody. Bag and tag, everybody, please, let's go. On my number one and two, everybody, let's go. I've been on the phone. I want to make sure we know the fight. I want to sleep alone. Have you got to my number one? Marvel, welcome back in. What's up, big? Welcome back in. Have you got to my number one, my love? Go to my number two when you're done. On the list of my number two when you're done. Everybody, let's go. Z icon on number three. The icon is on number three. Everybody on my number three, please. I need 20 amazing people on number three. Let's go. 50 amazing people right there. 50 amazing people on number three. 50 on one, 50 on two, 50 on three. Everybody, let's go. On my number one, two, and three, go on back and tag. Make yourself active. Make it. Charmaine. Bless your heart, baby. Everybody, let's go. Make yourself active, make yourself visible. Everybody, let's go. On my number one, you're there. On number two, you're there. Get my number one, get number two, everybody. Then you go to number three. Then you go to number three. I'm thirsty, bro. I can't get up to get your water. Everybody, let's go. Please make sure you're doing this for me, everybody. Let's get this to 50k. On number two, overtaking is allowed. Make yourself active, make yourself visible. On my number two, Alan, welcome in. My number one is top priority. My number two is top priority. Go on back and tag, everybody. Let's go. Bag and tag on my number one, bag and tag on two, everybody quickly. FJ, bless you. Just make sure you're getting every amazing gift on the screen, okay? Get every amazing gift I see on the screen. Lovely Anna. Welcome back in, mama. Welcome back in. Everybody, let's go. On my number two, go to my number two. I need 20 amazing people on number two. Let's go. Miguel. Miguel is now my number two. Oh my god, you guys are number two for me, everybody. On my number two, Miguel, hi, happy new year. How are you doing? On my number two, everybody, go to my number two, everybody, please. Go to my number two. On my number two. On my number one for me, if you got to my number one, go to number two. When you get my number two, darling, go to number three for me. Everybody, go to number three, please. On the list of my number three besties, everybody. on my number 3 and the 20 amazing people on number 3. Let's go. 20 people on a number 3. Let's go. This guy's up top. Yeah.
Hey, I'm going. Let me disconnect.
Okay. I've there. You get number 3 for me. Have you got to my number 1, honey? Foley said, honey, I want to sit on number 1. Who is on number 1? Foley is back on number 1. Everybody, let's go. On my number 1. Everybody, let's go. Eileen, bless you. Bless your heart, darling. Foley said, honey, have they told you about me? There is no way I'm about. Ooh, Eileen, touch. Bless you. There is no way I'm about to let you sit on number 1 seat when I'm here. Everybody, let's go. I want to be the king of. Miguel went old fashioned. Everybody, let's go, please. Oh my God. Everybody, let's go. Stylish Goods, I see you, my love. Welcome back in. Everybody on my number 1. Have you got to my number 1? Stylish Goods. Have you got to my number 1? You need the drum. Oh, you need the drum. I should not be clapping. I should be sending drums like this one. Let me see. Is that what you need? Miguel, is that what you need? He said, yeah, okay. Miguel said I shouldn't chase. I should eat the drum, baby. Eat the drum rolls for me. Everybody, let's go on my number 1 for me. My number 1. King Miguel on number 1, bestie. Let's go. I'm surprised how I was able to read that message because I'm literally half blind. Bammy, welcome in, mama. Everybody, let's go. Bag and tag, everybody. Bag and tag, let's go. Bag and tag on my number 1. Have you got to my number 1, bestie? Have you? You would not believe what just happened here. Everybody, let's go, please. I don't want to talk about it. My number 1 for me. My number 1, then you go to number 2, Creepy Street. Welcome to the team. Why will Creepy? Something creepy just happened to me. Why will a Creepy now join the team right now? Creepy, are you sure that was not you? Everybody, let's go. Like this for me, like this, everybody. Like this, everybody, please, let's go. 6, welcome to the team. Everybody, let's go, please. On my number 1, you're there. On number 2, on my number 3, everybody, let's go. My number 1, you're there. On my number 2, you're there. Go to my number 3, besties. On the list of my number 3. Meanwhile, I'm going to go to number 1 to give a shout out to everybody on my number 1. Oh my God, I don't have a backup. My backup phone just is hanging. How do I give a shout out right now? How do I do with the shout outs, babies? Miguel, why are you laughing? I hit your drum now. Why are you laughing? Everybody, let's go on my number 2 for me. On my number 2. My number 1, you get my number 2, get number 3 for me, besties. Let's go. Get my number 1, get number 2. Miguel just stepped out. On my number 1, everybody, get my number 1, get number 2, besties. Let's go. Get my number 1, get number 2. Then you get number 3 for me. And it's 20 amazing people on number 3. Let's go. 20 amazing people on number 3. Let's go. 20 amazing people on number 3, please. Make sure you get to number 1 and 2. Make sure you get to that. King. Bless you, King. Oh my God. Another one. Another one, King. Everybody, let's go. Please bag and tag everybody. Bag and tag, please. Bag and tag everybody. Let's go. King Zoe. King is on number 2. Everybody, let's go. On my number 1, you get my number 2. Everybody on number 2 for me, please. On my number 2, King. Sugar BSL Finance. Sugar BSL Finance. On my number 2, besties, go to my number 2 for me. Stylish Goods just took number 2 back. Stylish said, honey, what is your name? King said, honey, have you read my name? Have you read my name? My name says King for a reason. I'm a king. I'm supposed to be on the throne. Don't you get? Everybody, let's go on my number 2 for me. Everybody, on my number 2, make sure you get to my number 1. Stylish Good says, honey, I don't care. I am stylish and I have to sit on number 2. Everybody, let's go. What is wrong with this thing? Only need milku or mommy's own book. I'm gonna doing Garia go now. Everybody, let's go, please. Like this to me, everybody, like this. Who Stylish Good took it back. Do you know who King is? Do you know who the King is? Everybody, let's go. On my number 2, besties, go to my number 2. King took number 2 back. Everybody on my number 2, let's go. On my number 2 for me, everybody. On my number 2, I need 50 amazing people on number 2. Please make sure you get to my number 1. Top priority, okay? Make sure you get to my number 1. Hey, grab down. Okay. On my number 1, you are there. On my number 2, besties, let's go. Get my number 1, get number 2. On my number 2 for me, I need 50 amazing people on number 2. Let's go. 50 amazing. Who is that? Stylish Goods. Bless you. And she's back to number 2. Everybody, let's go. On my number 2 for me, everybody, go to my number 2, please. King took number 2 back. On my number 2, besties, I need 50 amazing people on number 2. Let's go. 15 amazing people on number 2. Everybody on number 2. Let's go to number 2 for me. Oh, go. Everybody on my number 2. King is back on number 2. Everybody, please. On my number 2 for me. Go to number 2. Go and sit there, everybody. Go and get my number 2. Make sure you get to my number 1, okay? Make sure you get to my number 1. Let's go. Stylish. Stylish said, I'm up to the task, honey. I'm up to the task. Bring your A game. Let me bring mine. Everybody on my number 2, go to my number 2, besties. Everybody, go to my number 2. Bestie on number 2. Let's go. Bestie on number 2. King is on number 2. Everybody on my number 2. I need 40 amazing people on number 2. Make sure you get to my number 1. King said, I'm here to stay, honey. You're gonna have to do better than that. You're gonna have to do better than that to get me out of the set. On my number 2, besties, go to my number 2 because the way my king is going, stylish. The way stylish took back number 2. Everybody on number 2 for me. The way that king is going, the same shit is heading for number 1 straight. King, number 1 straight. Everybody, let's go. On my number 2, everybody go to my number 2. My number 1, you get my number 2. Make sure you get to my number one. I need my number one on point three like yesterday, okay? I need my number one on point three. Everybody, let's go. King took it back. Everybody go to my number two. And if 50 amazing people on number two for me, please. 50 amazing people on number two, let's go. 50 amazing people on my number two besties, let's go. On my number two besties, go to my number two for me. Stylish took it back. Everybody on my number two, let's go. Go to my number two for me. Make sure you get to my number one. We don't have a stable number two yet. We don't have a stable number two yet. I think we do. Do we? Is Stylish our number two? Is Stylish the newest number two? Is Stylish the newest number two? Everybody, let's go. Make yourself active. Make yourself visible. My number one, you're there. My number two, you're there. My number three, everybody, let's go quickly. Get my number one, get number two, everybody. Get my number one, get number two, everybody, let's go. Stylish took number one. Everybody, let's go. On my number one, you're there. On my number two, everybody. Get my number one, get number two. On my number one, everybody, go get my number one, get my number one, get number two, besties, let's go. Scrank Speed. Scrank Speed, welcome in. King, welcome in. Everybody, let's go. Make yourself active, make yourself visible. On my number one, you're there. On my number two, besties, let's go. On my one, you're there. On my number two, quickly, let's go. Everybody on my number one, let's go. On my newest number one, go to my number one for me. Stylish, go to number one. Get my number one, get number two. Bag and tag, everybody. Get my number one, get number two. Guys, we need just 3 more galaxies to achieve the life goal. 3 more galaxies to achieve the life goal, please. Everybody, let's go. On my number one, you're there. On number two, you're there. Everybody. Get my number one, get number two. Everybody, let's go. Thank you. Everybody on my number one, you're there. On my number two. Get my number one, get number two, besties. Everybody. My number one, everybody on my number one, please. Make sure when you go to number one, you get every amazing person you see on number one. Let's go. When you get my number one, get every amazing person you see on number one, okay? Get my number one, Val, welcome in. Get my number one, get number two. King is now on number two. Everybody on my number two, let's go. Go to my number two. King is now my number one. Everybody, let's go, please. Let's freaking go. My number one for me, King said, honey, I need all eyes on me. I want the spotlight and I'm going to get it. I love the spotlight and I want to sit there. Everybody on my number one, please go to my number one for me. On the list of my number one besties, go to my number one. My number one for me, besties, go. Ooh, my original number one is back. My original number one is King. I went to go and welcome my number one back. Everybody, let's go. My number one is back. Miguel is back on number one. Everybody, let's go. 40 amazing people on number one. Let's go. And if 40 amazing people on number one and on number two. Quickly on my number one and two. Everybody, let's go. On my number one and my number two. Everybody. The Karen. Oh my God. The Karen. Oh, King is now number one. I've just told these people, I've just told them about my name. My name is King for a reason. My name is King for a reason. It's not just a name, honey. Miguel took it back. Miguel likes the drum. Everybody, let's go. On my number one for me. Bag and tag on number one. Everybody, quickly. Bag and tag on number one. On my number one, everybody. Get my number one, get number two. And if 50 amazing people on number one, 50 amazing people on number two. Let's go. 50 on one, 50 on two. King for a reason. Number one king is on number one, is on number two. The number one king is on number two. Like, how can a king with all his regalia, with all his envoy, with all his entourage, with all his throne, in all his goodness, with his crown, sit on number two? How is it so? Fully bless you. Everybody, let's go. Bag and tag, everybody. My number one, that's number 5. Go on, bag and tag quickly. Let's go. Bag and tag, my number one, that's number 5. Let's go. My number one, that's number 5, besties. Let's go. Everybody, let's go. On my number one, you're there. On number 2, you're there. Get my number 3 for me, besties. Let's go. My number one, you get my number 2, get number 3. On my number one, you're there. On number 2, you're there, besties. Let's go. Get my number 1, get number 2, besties. Everybody, let's go. Please connect to the pin for me. 4 ladies on point 3. Everybody now on my number 1 for me. Go to my number 1. And if 50 amazing people on number 1, let's go. 50 amazing people on number 1, let's go. 50 amazing people on my number 1, let's go. Also, sorry. Everybody on my number 1. My number 1 for me, King Miguel on number 1. King Miguel is giving all respect to my number 2 king. It said, my king, your highness. Everybody, let's go. On my number 2 for me, everybody, go to my number 2. Make sure you get my number 1, get number 2. Please comment in the chats 1 and 2. Don't let me pin you. Since I can't give a shout out. I can't give a shout out because my other phone is not on. The other phone is hanging, so I can't quite give a shout out. So get my number 1, get number 2. Come to the chat, comment 1 and 2 done, okay? Get my number 1, get number 2. Come to the chat, comment 1 and 2 done. Barbie dolls, congratulations on 0.5, baby. My number 1, you get my number 2, get number 3. Make sure you get Pinky Love for number 6 for me, okay? Get Pinky Love for number 6. My number 1 to 6, bag and tag. Come to the chat, comment 1 to 6. Don't let me ping you. My number 1 to 6, bag and tag. Come to the chat, comment 1 to 6. Don't let me ping you on the screen, please. Everybody, let's go. My number 1, that's number 6. Everybody. My number 1, that's number 6. Everybody, let's go. My number 1, dance number 6. Everybody, let's go. My number 1, dance number 6. Go on back and tag. Come to the chat. Comment 1 to 6. Done. I'm not seeing anybody. Comment 1 to 6. Done. Let me pin you on the screen. Healing touch. Welcome back here, mama. 1 to 6 done. Or 1 to 7 now. Comment 1 to 7 done, everybody. Get my number 1 to 7. Comment 1 to 7 done. Let me pin you on the screen. One to 7 done, everybody. Everybody, my number 1 dance number 7. Go on back and tag. Come to the chat. Comment 1 to 7 done, besties. Let's go. OAO Adventure. Welcome to the scene, my love. Everybody, let's go, please. Bag and tag on 1. Bag and tag on 2. Bag and tag on 3. Quickly, let's go. Back and tag on 1, back and tag on 2, back 3, back 4, back 5, back 6, back 7, back 8. Come to the chat, coming 1 to 8 done. Everybody, let's go. Everybody, let's go. My number 1, that's number 8. Go on back and tag Dima Nick. Welcome to the team, my love. Welcome to the team, bestie. Let's go. My number 1, you're there. My number 2, you're there. My number 3, besties. Let's go. I need 30 amazing people on my number 1. 30 amazing people on number 2. Let's go. Nice music. Thank you, bestie. Thank you, Miguel. Everybody, let's go. No, don't go on now. Everybody, let's go, please. Everybody, let's go. On my number 1 and 2 besties, go to my number 1 and 2. Let me try my backup phone again, so I'll do shout out. Let me try my backup phone again, so I can do the shout out. Everybody, let's. Have you got to my number 1 and my number 2? Have you got to number 1 and 2, my love? I need 20 amazing people on number 1, 20 amazing people on 2. Let's go. 20 amazing people on 1, 20 amazing people on 2. Let's go. On my number 1 and my number 2, bestie, let's go. Effie, Lucky Lena. I remember. Again. Everybody, let's go. My number 1, you get my number 2. I'm about to give a shout out. Are you there? Are you there on my number 1? Are you there on my number 1? Because I'm about to give a shout out right now on my number 1. Renfree, baby. So y'all leave me in Samaya. Everybody, let's go. My number 1, you're there on my number 2. Oh, my king settled for number 2. A whole king. King of all kings settled for number 2. Ooh. Miguel, what did you do to my king? What did you do to my king? Talk to me. Everybody, let's go, please. My number 1, you're there. My number 2, get my number 3 for me. Everybody, get my number 1, get my number 2, get number 3 besties. Let's go. Hi. How are you? Everybody, let's go. My number 1, you are there. My number 2, bag and tag. Everybody, are you on my number 1? Now I'm going to my number 1 to give a shout out to everybody that just got my number 1. I'm going to give a shout out to everybody that just got my number 1. Now shout out to Nats. Shout out to 11 May Demand. Shout out to Royal Attitude. Official Spendy, welcome in. Someone said they love my glasses. Bless you, thank you. Official Spendy, Spendy. Official Spendy, Spendy. Welcome in, King. Everybody, let's go. Now, my number 1, okay? Shout out to Royal Attitude. Shout out to Eddie Khan. Shout out to Join My Life. Shout out to Squala. Shout out to Charity. Shout out to Aqua Pretty. Shout out to his proud side chick. Shout out to the King. Shout out to Ugly Calabar BH. Shout out to Omotoke. Shout out to Otiego Jesus. Eating Touch, bless you. Shout out to Pretty Star. Shout out to Girl Like Naomi. Shout out to Booth Fresh. Shout out to Nashali. Shout out to Wickman Jabena. Shout out to Female King. Shout out to Tracy. Shout out to Angie Baby. Shout out to Anna Emma. Shout out to Lepashos Nunu. Shout out to Gifts Francis. Shout out to Taylor Orobo. Shout out to Lil Jiggy. Everybody on my number one. Have you got to my number one? I see the 20 amazing for number one. Let's go. 20 amazing for number one. And on number two. 20 on one, 20 on two. Ooh, King is on 0.7. My number one bestie. Go to my number one for me. Go and get bestie number one for me. Everybody, let's go. Official spending. Simone. Is that Simone? Simone, welcome in. Official spending is on number 4. Everybody, let's go. On my number one for me. 20 amazing for number one. Let's go. A and E, welcome in. Everybody, let's go. On my number one, please. Go to my number one besties. On the list of my number one. Everybody, let's go. Everybody, let's go, please. Bag and tag, everybody. The longer you stay, the more you gain. Make yourself active, make yourself visible, please. Make yourself active, make yourself visible. Get my number one, get number 2 for me. Woo. Everybody on my number one. 20 on number one. Let's go. Who is that? That Pinky Love, baby. Bless you, my darling. On my number one for me. Everybody, my number one. Let's go. On my number one, everybody, go to my number one for me. Are you on the list of my number one, guys? Let's get the live goal, please. Let's get the live goal. Overtaking is allowed. Overtaking is allowed. If you're not comfortable where you're sitting, honey, you're free to overtake, okay? You're free to overtake. Everybody, let's go. Make yourself active, make yourself visible. My number one besties, go to my number one. Can you guys see me? Yeah, you can. My number one for me, have you got to my number one? My number one is on 0.5. Everybody on my number 3, let's go. Go to my number 3 for me. I feel good. Get my number 3, then you go to number 4. Official spending is on number 4. Let's go. Get my number 4 for me. Another one. Official spending. Official is now my number 3.
It's about time you put on your dancing shoes.
Pancake, hi, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hi, King. What's up?
I'm good. Everybody, let's go.
You're still up by this time. Guys, let's power tap, okay? RNK. This is so unlike you, God.
Me?
Yes.
I know. I'm just trying to be mysterious, you know?
What is good is good. The change is good.
Yeah, change is good. Everybody, let's go. Have you got to my number 3? Official spending on number 3. Let's go. Oh, my number 3.
How are you? Thank you, Queen. RMK, thank you so much.
On my number 3 besties. Let's go. My number 3 besties. Go and get my number 3. Guys, just power tap for me, okay? Power tap, everybody. We're back. We need 5 roses, everybody. 5 roses. Can we get 5 roses to get times 3? Can we get 5 roses to get 5 times 3? Everybody, let's go. 5 roses to get 5 times 3. Everybody, please. 5 roses. 3 more. And we got it. Did we get it? Did we get it? 1 more. Oh my God. Thank you guys so much. Everybody, let's go. Guys, when the times 3 starts, okay, let's snipe on the times 3, please. Let us snipe on the times 3, besties. On the times 3, everybody, it has not started yet. It has not started. Chill for Jesus. My number 3, have you got to my number 3? Have you got to my number 3? I need my number 3 on point 1 like yesterday, okay? I need my number 3 on point 1 like yesterday right now. Everybody, let's go. The times 3 I started, guys. Snipe on the times 3, everybody. Snipe on the times 3. Can we get the money going on the times 3, please? The money. Damon Nick. Thank you, baby. Everybody, let's go. Let's get on the times 3. Get the money going on the times 3. Let's get the money going on the times 3. The money going in hands. Whatever it is on the times 3, everybody, so it will not waste. We just got the times 3. Let's make sure we use it, okay? Everybody on the times 3, please. Just not leave it to one person. Do not leave it to one person, please. Everybody, can we get it? What do you call it? And money going on the times 3, please. It's going in. The times 3 is going in. Thank you to everybody that contributed. Thank you. Thank you, Dimanik. Thank you so much. Bless you. Everybody, let's go. On my number 3, Femi, go to my number 3. On my number 3, everybody, go get my number 3 for me. Okay, official spending is now on number 3. Miguel steps out. Official spending is now on number 2. Everybody on my number 2, let's go. And if 50 amazing people on number 2. 50 amazing people on number 2, bag and tag, let's go. My number 2, besties, go to my number 2. Guys, anything can happen, or anything can happen. Let's not sleep on this, okay? Let's not sleep on this, everybody. Anything can happen. We did not snipe on the times 3, so anything can happen. Somebody can just decide to go galaxies on them. Someone can decide to go baby lions on them. Everybody, let's go, please. Let's make sure we win this and keep our winning streaks. Everybody, let's go, please. Everybody, please, let's go. Johnny Wallace. On my number 3 for me, everybody. On my number 3, besties, go and get my number 3 for me. Sorry, my number 2. On my number 2, let's go. On my number 2, everybody, go to my number 2. Guys, let's watch out for the snipes, okay? Alright, thank you, baby.
Alright, yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Foley, thank you. Thank you so much. Demon Nick, Demon Nick, thank you. Bless you. Everybody, let's go. Thank you so much for 124 likes and 654k share. Thank you. So I'm gonna go. My sister is going to be live in exactly 1 hour. Let's say 2 hours from now. 2 hours from now, okay? So make sure you check back in. Goldie tie all caps. Make sure you lock in, okay? Good night. It's morning, yeah, but good night. So I'm gonna go have a sleep, okay? Bless you.